What was the best orgasm you've ever had? I dated this one girl who had a condition where her hands would sweat all the time for no reason. Her hand jobs felt better than any vagina I've ever been in. And she swallowed to finish, so it was great. 16/17 years old. Had the most enthusiastic blowjob on a staircase. I nearly fell over from the suction follow through when it hit. I leaned over her and accidentally triggered an alarm to prevent roof access to the building. My heartbeat raced. My entire body pulsating. And she swallowed it all whole. Still haven't topped that stimulation. I've had definitely better sex and blowjobs than that particular partner, but there was something about the scenario and alarm that can't be matched in the privacy of a bedroom. Just have her sound an air horn in your ear as you're finishing. First time ever busted a nut. I was damn near hallucinating seeing dancing brooms from that Magic Mickey cartoon. Every time my girlfriend finishes me off by giving me head. It's like that hyper-sensational feeling from tickling, but it's pure pleasure and excitement. My wife was going on a trip and convinced me not to jack off the entire time she was gone. She was 10 days. We ducked the day she got back and I was able to go back to back. The second orgasm was the best. I thought back to back was some sort of position and was trying to visualize how that worked. LMAO. Edit. Y'all are freaks. Edit 2. I once edged all day and erupted with the power of 1000 suns. This was during a storm and at the moment I came, I heard thunder crash around me. I had angered the gods. Ha. Slept with this girl I know. Her vag was different. Managed to get off twice in 20 minutes. Second time my brain was blanked. All I could focus on was the absolute bliss of coming again. My brain was just a sea of white. Eyes were open but unseeing. No idea what she did. Asked her but she just said good muscles inside. Never had another orgasm like that again. Doesn't stop me chasing it though. A shame we've both moved on with our individual lives and it's very unlikely we'll ever see each other again. When my wife was pregnant she was really sick for the first like 3-4 months. When she started to feel better she was very flirty and touchy. But I hadn't really been expecting sex considering she had always been sick up to this point. Got home from work one day. Kissed her, talked for a minute and went to hop in the shower. She comes in and joins me. Which wasn't abnormal, we showered together often. But when we got out and dried off she started going down on me. And we took it to the floor with her on top. To cut a long story short, we rolled around and boned on the bathroom floor. We hadn't had sex in months and with her riding me. No condom. I exploded in her not once but twice. One after the other. I've never been able to have 2 orgasms in a row like that before and haven't since. It was insane. Edit. Well, this escalated quickly, thanks for the upvotes. Picture this. My first ever orgasm from oral sex. The relationship was still new and my nerves were getting in the way of achieving a full erection. Even when I got hard. I never reached orgasm even after hours and it was very frustrating for both of us. I learned to relax after some advice one day and that night I finally reached orgasm. It still took some time for me to get fully erect and reaching it took an hour, but when I finally did, and I remember this very clearly even though it was years ago, I felt high. The good kind. Like I was floating for a good 5 minutes. Edit. Forgot to mention that it was smooth sailing after that even 9 years later. Edit 2. The advice I was given is in the comments. Prostate orgasm by doing Kegels. I was decently drunk at the time and I started getting the spins just from how intense it was. I'd say it was a 10. While regular orgasm is about a 3. I went 45 days without a nut. When I finally broke down and rubbed one out it lasted forever and came out thick as tea. Like toothpaste. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend. I came so hard I threw up. My balls were hurting so bad. TF were you doing, my guy? I had one that lasted for about 2 minutes straight. I was thrashing around. Moaning like I was possessed. Experimented with a Hitachi and a makeshift harness, something I saw in a saucy video. Hit so hard I couldn't move to turn the damn thing off, so I was stuck on max until it was over, which took a good minute. 10/10 have not been able to recreate since. Was high as balls on acid, then beat it. I don't have many experiences. Actually just masturbation. But recently I discovered that when I'm denied an orgasm and I'm just in that state of oversensitivity when I'm just trembling and wanting the release so bad but still waiting for it. Almost crying. Just building up for so long and not just rushing it. Then the orgasm is so much better for me. So more intense, I love it. I think when someone else is gonna do it to me I'm gonna lose my mind. I don't have many experiences. My wife and I were staying at a nice hotel on an island in Thailand. The room was pretty much built into a cliffside. At the head of the bed was a big window with a great view of some palm trees and the ocean. We had great sex and throughout we could see the clouds getting darker. We were doing doggy style, looking out enjoying the view, and right as we both came the clouds opened up and rain began to pour outside. As soon as we stopped coming it stopped raining abruptly. We looked at each other like WTF, did that really happen? Full stop. It was quite surreal. Certainly my most memorable orgasm. Maybe not strongest but definitely up there. Bro, you've ever scratched the inside of your ear? Wife did this thing where she licked the tip of my DCK just off to the side so she wouldn't get any stuff in her mouth. Was the most insane shit ever. Severe edging it felt like. Took a while but when I got there it was just rope after rope after rope. Trying to get my wife pregnant. Filling her up with cum to actually impregnate her was such a turn on. And she loved it too. I've been getting so much cum lately. Just load after load. So many cream peas. Socially unacceptable. My husband and I have been trying to get pregnant lately. Perfectly fine to say in public. She was just about the sexiest woman I'll ever have sex with. Like I could draw a more perfect woman in my eyes. Was doing it in the prone position and she started working her kegels and that was the end of my life for about 30 seconds. I assume you meant couldn't draw a more perfect woman in my mind? On the way to visit my girlfriend I totaled my car. When I finally made it to her house after the whole ordeal I nutted so duckin' hard in that shitty. I think it was because I was so shaken just before that my little lizard brain was like, duck, we could die fam, we gotta start leaving bits of you behind like now. It was great. My first time inside my girlfriend without a condom, she was on the pill, I felt overwhelmed with pure joy, she did too. Me and my ex were having sex after a night of drinking and I was fairly drunk and a little high, so naturally I hadn't come yet but she was satisfied. She was still jerking me off and I was still hard. She kept going and it felt amazing. Soon I swear my face got flush red and not only did I come but tears came from my eyes. I never felt a tingling sensation go from my DCK to my face. 10/10 never have reached that level since. Once spent a couple hours jacking off as many times as I could. Vibrator. Some nice smut. And most of a day with nothing I needed to do. 2. 5 hours. 20 something total orgasms. I lost count toward the end. I remember the 8th one vividly. Something about it was different. I haven't felt anything like it since. I had just shaved her PSSY bald with an old school Gillette safety razor. Massaged on a ton of shea butter lotion as aftershave. Then we headed to the bedroom where she asked me to put her new butt plug in and then ducked her doggy style while playing with the base of her plug. I saw stars when I came inside her. Then we got dressed and went out to dinner. For the life of me I don't know why I read this in Bernie Sanders' voice. But I'm glad I did. Hilarious. There's a girl I went out with who gave the most incredible blowjobs. She had these cute little boobs and she loved it when I sucked her nipples. She made me so hard all the time, then she would use her mouth to bring me off and I would bust so hard. Best sex I've ever had. She moved away and eventually met someone else. My ex-husband never gave me an orgasm. I never knew what one was until I was 27 and dating a guy, and I experienced it for the first time. My world exploded. I wanted sex all the time. He ended up breaking up with me because he told me he felt used for sex. Tied to the bed and my boyfriend using a vibrator on me, a vibrator. After the first orgasm, which was maybe an 8/10, he refused to take the vibrator off my clit. Despite my pleading, I screamed for like 10 straight minutes. Through a few orgasms, I could not ducking contain myself. I screamed so loudly for so long that my throat was raw. 20/10, but not recommended for people living in flats. My ex-wife actually passed out during an L. I looked down and noticed she was asleep, so I slipped out and went to the shower. She came so hard she told me thinks she stopped breathing. Then woke up to find me gone to the shower. Played a very intense round of truth or dare when I was about 13 and ended up getting a HJ from this girl in front of a few people. It was my second ever HJ and only one ever in front of multiple people. Been jonesing for that since and never found it. You're gotten to at the age of 13? Damn dude. First time I tried bareback. That horse has never been the same either. I've talked about this before on Reddit. But once I was having sex with my girlfriend after taking a shower and I had water stuck in my ear. At the exact same time as I came, my ear popped and I felt washed over by such a bizarre and amazing combination of sensations. It's really hard to describe how good this orgasm felt. Truly ineffable. I've tried many times since then to replicate this, but have not been successful so far. I once went out with a friend, his GF, and her friend. I didn't really fancy her. We ended up all getting really drunk out at a few bars, then went back to his afterwards. She had been flirting with me all night, but I wasn't super into it. I was pretty hammered and said I was going to bed in his spare room. I went upstairs, closed the door. Literally what seemed like 2 seconds later she opened the door naked. She had the biggest, most perfectly shaped breasts I'd ever seen, and she had even had a breast reduction. She absolutely schooled me for what seemed like about 3-4 hours. It felt like I was in a PRNO. I'd say it was the most crazy orgasm I ever had. We met up again the following night and it was the same. But we left that room and never crossed paths again. Long day of working in the mid-spring sun. Ferry rides were had. Lots of building tension after 12 plus HRS together. Ended up cooking dinner together, and somewhere between plating the pasta and eating it all, the wine hit at once and we hit the sheets. It was so incredibly pure in a way I struggle to explain now or recreate. She was truly a goddess and a dream of a human being. I'll always miss her in those orgasms. With my husband. Dear baby Jesus. Never squirted before him. Besides him being an absolute smoke show, sweetest man ever. That's why I married him. I was about 6 weeks postpartum after having twins. It was the first time my husband and I had sex after the babies were born. I was on top. My hormones were still whacked. So when I felt the climb up to orgasm, it just got stalled. I was stuck in that I'm going to come limbo. But it wouldn't come. I started riding him really hard and said, I want to ducking come. He groans like, og. Also ducking SI. I had the weirdest, hardest, most fantastic orgasm ever. I was just happy he wasn't vomiting from my postpartum body. I didn't expect that it would be the SZST ever. Start out with a 1, a 2, a 1 2 3, a 3, a 5, a 4, a 3, 2 2, a 2 4 6, a 2 4 6, 4 2, 2 4 7, 5 7, 6 7, 7 7 7 7 7 7 7 7 7 7. Dot. Edit. Thank you to whomever popped my Reddit cherry with the award. I bought a prostate toy in preparation for COVID-19. Or rather my prediction for what was going to happen. I'm gay. And a bottom. But nothing in life has prepared me for what happened. I'm assuming that maybe I just never hit my prostate right before. But I felt like a cat in heat once I found it. I was moaning and almost writhing against the toy. I didn't touch my cock once and had a hands-free prostate orgasm. No lie, my orgasm lasted 3-5 minutes. And I was literally laying in bed out of breath and almost felt a little drunk. It's the best orgasm I've ever had. So there are these 2 different times. With the same girl. First, we were dating. And we did it like 8 times. A glorious afternoon. By the end of it all, I was sperm dry and only seminal fluid was coming out. The 8th time, and the last, was something that I felt that never happened again. Second, we were already married for 2 years. And suddenly, on a normal scheduled regular day, we both had very busy work life at the time, I start to feel the sensation of an orgasm every movement I make. This lasted the entire time. Until the very end. Also never happened again. I was on the back of my boyfriend's motorcycle. He had just gotten a new passenger seat that was more angled forward with a ridge in the center that puts pressure directly on my clit. He decided to go on a ride and test it out, and about 30 minutes in, the combination of the vibration from the bike and the pressure on my clit was too much. I started getting lightheaded and couldn't help but moan and came harder than I ever had before. High SX. Early on getting into bondage, and my GF at the time wanted to switch and tie me down. Let's just say neither of us will be forgetting that weekend. One time I rubbed my eyes for like 3 minutes straight cause I got that good feeling you get when you do. As a 40-year woman, I've had plenty of SX. Many great orgasms. But I recently started dating a much younger man and he does things to my body. Let's just say it's a much wetter experience these days. It is overwhelming, really. The best SX of my life. You're dating a dolphin. Admit it. When my ex-GF was blowing me and she started licking my ass. Playing with it, and then she started sucking me and putting slowly one finger. I almost pass out. That was like a very heavy orgasm that I felt coming like slowly building until I just exploded. She told me that I ejaculated a lot and I was like moaning and shaking. That was amazing and I fell into some kind of sleepy trance. Solo mission. Discovered I can squirt. Like a lot. Had to change the bed. Embarrassing but nice. Masturbating while reading this thread about 45 seconds ago. A girlfriend of mine once put my penis in her mouth. Once. I once wrote a story about a woman who became a living exhibit in an art gallery. She was trapped in a thick rubber suit. Blindfolded. Her body completely immobile while patrons groped and teased and generally made a scene of her. It took me somewhere in the vicinity of 8 hours to write. And let me tell you, I was cranking it like I was trying to start a Model T the whole damn time. It's not particularly a fetish of mine. But there was something about spending so long thinking about the same thing and building up time and time again. Duck. By the time I put a big ol' the end on it, I was a sweaty mess. I don't know if this counts because it was multiple orgasms over a long session. But if anyone who bought that book had half the fun I did, oof. They got their money's worth. First time being intimate after having a ton of sexual trauma over a long period of time. My wonderful boyfriend took the time to make me comfortable and it lasted a long time. Cried afterwards. But that's nothing extraordinary. Crying after orgasms is kind of my thing. It's normal to cry after sex. Even without past sexual trauma. It's just something the brain sometimes does after you experience a sexual high. I'm sure sexual trauma complicates that, but it's awesome that you seem to be working through that. Female here. I have a couple. Best was when I was riding my husband. We were both sitting on the floor. He was sitting up against the recliner. Something about the angle gave me a full body orgasm and I nearly passed out. The second one was my first orgasm after stopping Paxil, which messed up my libido. I came 7 times that day. Wife slowly licked my head for what had to have been an hour. I almost never shoot, but after that fiasco I shot hard and far. Edging is a thing, and in these hard times, give it a shot. Also, find her G-spot if you haven't already. It's fun to watch them. Is it possible that you quite like quotation marks? Pretty much impossible to do this without being TMI, I guess. But the first time a man who I was bottoming for ever brought me to orgasm completely hands-free. It was last week. I managed to buy bog roll. Scredit. Which SXSISXSXSXSX did you SXSX? LSD. My best one was from head. My ex was going down on me, and he had told me previously to let him know when I was coming. Well, I let him know when I started coming. He then proceeded to suck on my clit while I was coming, making me come over and over and over again until he stopped. I've never had an orgasm that powerful before, and I haven't come that hard since. Only damn thing he was good for. Ask your mom. I had it when I was treated as a priority. Some 8 or 9 years ago maybe? When my FWB gave it to me reverse cowgirl. And it was my first time getting it that way. It was so intense I thought I was going to pass out or die. Right before I turned 28, I started dating a guy who had a hobby life goal of wanting to be a sex therapist. Can't think of what the technical term for that would be right now. He had done a lot of research about orgasms, tantra, etc. We would try things like matching our breathing and other mind spiritual body connectedness. One day he came over and gave me an entire body massage, which of course led to sex. Up until this point, I only knew how to orgasm from my clit. We were so in tune and I felt this new sensation welling up inside of me. I thought, oh my god, I'm going to come from this. And I did. I had the most mind-blowingly insane orgasm I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I couldn't believe I had been missing out on that kind of orgasm my entire life. Obviously, he noticed and came as well. We were clutching each other so hard and my entire body was tingling. And that mutual orgasm resulted in our son. There's a famous hentai that has elf girls in it. And, well, let's just say that life has been one big continuous orgasm ever since. Source me up, bro. It was my first one. Not having an orgasm for a month. Locktober. Fooling around with another guy. I'm a B-male. Then receiving a BJ. Felt normal but different with a lot of pressure pent up from the long wait. I felt the ending and gave a warning. But he never stopped sucking. I threw a pillow over my face. I know I would look crazy during that lol. And when the moment came, I just squeezed the pillow as hard as I could while making noises that were a little embarrassing tbh. Toes curling. And I didn't want to move my legs cause I was still getting sucked off during this. Even after like 3-10 minutes, I couldn't really tell time. He kept at it and my body kept pleasure twitching.